According to tradition, we will start with the pros of the Tank 500, and then move on to the cons. Let's jump ahead and warn you that the 500th turned out to be a rather controversial car. During the presentation of the tank brand in Russia, our readers noted that the tanks turned out to be scary. In the Celestial Empire, on the contrary, most of the positive reviews cannot do without mentioning appearance. Owners believe that the Tank 500 may not be handsome, but it always attracts attention and creates the impression of a premium car. But not everyone liked the signature element of the 500th's exterior, the chrome radiator grille. It was often covered with film. In addition to aesthetic impressions, the appearance of the Tank 500 was called quite practical. The point is high ground clearance and fairly short overhangs. Thanks to them, you can drive up to curbs and drive off the road without fear. The frame suspension of the Tank 500 is called very comfortable and ergonomic. As a result, it is ideal for leisurely driving around the city in rough terrain. But for comfort I had to sacrifice the composure of the suspension. The other side of the coin was the roll and roll during maneuvering. This problem is relevant only for buyers who have opted for the entry-level versions of an SUV. More expensive versions are equipped with an electromagnetic suspension with flexible settings. It doesn't turn the tank into a sports car, but it does make the suspension more flexible and adaptive. Despite a number of reservations, the Tank 500's indifference to bumps and speed bumps has become one of the most frequently cited advantages. The Tank 500's interior space has often received praise from owners. According to them, there is enough space in both the first and second rows of the SUV. At the same time, there is also a lot of space in the trunk, although the loading height is a little disappointing. It is above 80 centimeters. Experienced readers will notice the catch. After all, the Tank 500 is also available in a 7-seater configuration. Why is that third row not mentioned? The fact is that most of the Tank 500 sales were for the 5-seat version. And reviews, for the most part, center around tanks with 2 rows of seats. But what kind of gallery did it turn out to be? Here it is worth citing a funny quote from one of the owners: "The third row of the Tank 500 is suitable for children and fragile ladies." The tank's soundproofing has also been the subject of praise. Many users noted that the cabin provides premium silence, which pairs well with the quality 12-speaker Infinity sound system. Speaking of noise in numbers, it is worth noting the measurements made by Autohome specialists. According to their tests, at a speed of 120 km/h, the Tank 500 showed a result of 63 dB. For clarity, the same result for Exeed VX is 65 dB. The Tank 500 trim levels were also often praised. The fact is that even in the base, the SUV is well equipped, including the aforementioned Infinity sound system, LED optics, and a package of active safety systems. However, it is worth noting that the initial configurations of the tank would have been much less liked by Russian car enthusiasts. The point is the lack of warm options. In China, the basic 500th is equipped only with heated seats in the first row. And, of course, real reviews were not complete without mentioning the Tank 500's off-road capabilities. Most of its owners are outdoor enthusiasts. They quickly bought a set of off-road tires and set off to conquer the vastness of China. According to them, the high ground clearance of the Tank 500 and the good operation of the all-wheel drive system with locks allow the vehicle to easily overcome even difficult off-road conditions. But at the same time, its cross-country ability is greatly hampered by one factor, which we will soon discuss in the disadvantages section. So, we have looked at the advantages of the Tank 500, which already have a few flies in the ointment. Now let's figure out what disadvantages a brutal SUV has. The Tank 500 is equipped with the pride of Great Wall, a 9-speed torque converter of the company's own design. She first appeared on the 500th and clearly turned out to be raw. Almost every review mentioned her lackluster performance. So, when driving at low speed, the box began to change gears chaotically. And when you press the gas pedal to the floor, the car responds with a 2-second thoughtfulness and only then rushes forward. Note that starting with such a lag is often typical for mild hybrids with a 48-volt starter generator, which is what the Tank 500 is. Returning to the gearbox, several updates have already taken place in China, but so far the problems with brooding have not been resolved. Due to the behavior of the transmission, the mighty 3-liter V6 does not produce the expected power. This factor interferes both in the city and off-road. Most likely, the slurred operation of the box also had a negative impact on the fuel consumption of the Tank 500. For some owners, it reached up to 20 liters in the urban cycle. It is worth recalling here that the V6 GWM is demanding of high-quality fuel and does not feed on AI-92. The owners noted that they knew what they were getting into when buying a large-frame SUV, but the tank's appetite exceeded all their expectations. The mild hybrid system didn't help either. It's hard to imagine what kind of fuel consumption indicators the exclusively gasoline versions that will come to the Russian market might have. Although, if GWM specialists manage to reconcile the torque converter and the engine, the fuel consumption of the Tank 500 will decrease. Inside the Tank 500, attention is immediately drawn to the large screen with a diagonal of 14.6 inches. It has beautiful graphics and clear images. But stability and speed of work are not his profile at all. Users have experienced that the screen may be slow and some applications may not work properly. Thus, the built-in navigator may show that the car is moving backwards and does not accurately determine the exact location of the car. A number of functions, such as smart navigation, were completely unavailable at launch. As a result, the performance of the screen greatly disappointed the owners of this SUV. Claims about the interior materials of the Tank 500 are mostly not global, but consist of uncritical quibbles. So, the owners believe that for the price tag of the Tank 500, there could be real wood in its interior, and not its imitation. Many would also like to see the use of more soft and textured materials. However, in defense of the Tank 500's interior, buyers noted that there was no smell of cheap plastic in its interior, and there were no annoying crickets heard while driving. Many owners have complained about the high cost of servicing the Tank. In addition, its maintenance interval is shorter than usual and amounts to 7,500 kilometers. And the most expensive scheduled maintenance occurs at 42,500 kilometers. Its cost is 2.9 thousand yuan, 29.4 thousand rubles. And although this amount may seem insignificant for Russian car enthusiasts, in China the Tank 500 received its share of criticism. On the other side of the coin, there were issues with the reliability of the Tank 500. Some owners' headlights may have stopped working after the purchase. And one of them had a steering rack failure after 8,000 kilometers. Most of the breakdowns are mentioned only in early reviews. Apparently, then the car was released onto the market in a really damp condition. Thus, we have analyzed the main pros and cons of the Tank 500 SUV, which include real reviews from owners in China. The model actually turned out to be quite contradictory. However, buyers in China love this car and give it good sales.